Hello, and welcome to the world of Macks Headroom. If you notice, we have a little bit different introduction today. There's no music. I love to begin the show with music. I used to be a radio disc jockey when I was in graduate school, and I love to play around with music. And I had picked out a song for today's presentation, which of course you know is on Jeffrey Epstein. And the song was a very well-known song in the 60s, and it was called I'm a Blah Blah Blah. And I would say 15 minutes after spending 6 or 7 hours working on it and uploading it and then getting it on the air. It was on the air for about 7 minutes. I got about 8 views. And then I got a letter from YouTube saying that I had broken a copyright violation, and therefore, although I could leave the tape in my video library, it will not be aired. Which means everybody who sees a thumbnail of that video, it's going to say, bad video or dirty video or something like that. So I took it down, but I managed to salvage the verbal part of the tape, and I thought that I would just present that in lieu of the music, because I think the subject is even more interesting than music. But one thing I want to throw out to you before I start, and that is that I have gotten copyright violations many times. But when you get your YouTube thing back, when you have a station, it'll say, like, have you committed copyright violations? And it'll say, there's a chart, and the chart will say, yes, you've committed copyright violations, but all it means is you can't use this tape to be monetized, and there's some other qualification. Well, I'm not monetized, and I don't know what the other criteria is, but isn't it ironic that I have used so many other songs in my music, and the one that gets blocked has to do with an infamous character who I believe the CIA is deeply investigating and may have some to-dos with this group called EMD or whatever it is that scans the music for YouTube and then knocks you out. Well, I wonder if they look at the titles too and check if Jeff Epstein, if anything's going to be said negative about him, that it could be taken off the air. Who the hell knows? But I just wanted to warn you, and we'll see what happens in the future about using music as my introduction. But again, welcome to Carpe Diem. Welcome to the world of Macks Headroom. And I'll be right back with last night's presentation. Yeah, we are talking about a loser, but I'm afraid I'm not viewing him quite, I think, as a loser in the way that so many people do, and that is, of course, Jeffrey Epstein, the new media sensation. I'm not sure what I want to say here, because a lot of it is kind of speculative, and I'd like to go down, before I say anything, that it is speculative. And it's not so much whether the guy's guilty or not. I think everybody assumes he is. And yeah, I think there is some questionable manipulations around whether it's actually trafficking or not. But still, the guy's a pervert and an asshole, and connected with, this is the most important part, a whole bunch of fucking rich, powerful, controlling individuals. Many that we worship too, and it's kind of sick. But the reason I say that Jimmy Savile is a loser in more than one way is because, of course, the guy's caught. He already got off easy once. The media's been on, this ever since the second time came around most recently. And, for sure the guy's going to go down somehow. The big question to me is, how's he going to go down? That to me is a really big question, and one that I don't think is just a conspiracy theory, because a lot, he contains a lot of very important and probably secret information regarding politicians. Everybody, I'm sorry to sound like such a radical, but everybody, not everybody, but a large percentage of these people that are, in the background of Jeffrey Epstein are the rich, white, and powerful. And they also seem to be, in many ways, the perverted, although there is no proof of that at this moment. But that's the whole question. You see, the big question is Jeffrey Epstein a stand-up enough guy to say, oh yeah, President or ex-President Clinton was over, and you should have seen the 14-year-old he was with. Oh, she was a fox. Or you think he's going to say, yeah, well, he sent a few, hot dogs with gravy sauce over to Hillary Clinton. You think he's going to say shit like that? Of course not. So, and the bigger question is that you think anybody else is going to let him say that? I mean, think about America's history. Think about things like MK Ultra, which is a reality. It's in print that they were doing such awful, horrible things to people with LSD who were unsuspecting, both here and in Canada, okay? If they can pull that shit off, who is Jeffrey Epstein? Other than perhaps a piece of snot at the end of one of these rich people's noses. Okay? Really. And, pardon the vulgar metaphor, but that's really what he is to them, I think. And when they could use, it almost looks in the media like, he used them, but I think it's more like they use him. And, he is now the big fall guy containing all the secret information. And there ain't no way he's going to talk about it. And there ain't no way nobody's going to let him talk about it. So, what does that leave? Okay? Well, let me just break for a second and keep rolling, but I want to just shift for 1/2 a second. And that is that I saw a video, or actually it was a movie, and it was called I, Pedophile, Inside the Mental Illness of Pedophilia. And it's on Prime, by the way, if anybody wants to watch it. It was a very interesting, as you know, many of you probably know, I used to treat sex offenders for like 20 years, close to almost 30 years. And, I was attracted to this movie, and it turned out to be a really, really good movie, I thought. And these were all recovering sex offenders, and they were incredibly frank and incredibly self-responsible. And one of the men said something that really struck me. And not because I'm some pinko, faggot, pedophile empathizer. Believe me, I'm not, okay? Those guys made my life miserable for so many years trying to treat them, okay? But he did say something that I thought was very wise. And he was talking about what it's like to adapt to actually knowing you're a pedophile, owning up to it whenever you're called on it, just having to live such a strict lifestyle. He says, but the worst part about it, even though the urges come and go, they don't go away. Because remember, one of the biggest successes in the treatment of a pedophile is him admitting he's a fucking pedophile and he can't control himself, I'm not talking AA talk. I'm just saying he's whacked out of control when it comes to little kids and sex, okay? And sometimes murder, and it's mixed with personality disorders such as psychopathy. But this pedophile made this comment, and let me just pause for a minute and let you get in the mood to hear what he said, because I thought it was very important. And I'm not quoting him exactly, but I want to try my best. He said that in terms of how it is to adapt back into society, either prior to being arrested or afterwards, he made this statement. He said, when the motivation to stop a social problem is hate, then what is the alternative to helping with the problem? Let me repeat that again, because I'm not sure if it's coming across right. Oh, I see. Okay. Let me try one more time. When the motivation to stop a social problem is hate, then what's the alternative to helping with the problem using hate in a remedy of some sort of way. And I hope I'm saying that right. But, you know, so many people fucking hate Jeff Epstein. Okay? Oh, I don't want to put that away. So many people hate Jeff Epstein, and I don't blame him. The guy's a fucking asshole. And if he abused my daughter, oh God. So I don't have a daughter though. My son abused him, it'd be the end. So I guess my point is that everybody fucking hates him. But if you take this guy's comment into account, then what does that mean? Well, that means that a lot of the hate that might be, he may be just an umbrella for all the perversion amongst the rich and powerful. Now, we're only talking about one subsystem. I'm not saying it doesn't exist in the poor and deprived, but I am saying in this very powerful controlling area, it's becoming very obvious that, you know, Jeff Epstein could very well be the United States' version of the UK's Jimmy Savile. It's very parallel, just a few years later. But you know, the roots of Jeffrey Epstein and how Jeffrey Epstein was allegedly given a home worth $77,000 million or something like that, or $77 million. And, you know, all this stuff says that you know, there's always this old expression like you know, where there's a need, there's a market. You know, well, he was the market server, you know, but all these powerful people were the customers, it appears. So again, getting back to this thing about hate, you think anybody's gonna miss Jeffrey Epstein if he gets knifed in the back by accident? He's already had some problem. I don't even trust that. I really don't. I think that may be intertwined in some other conspiracy to off the guy. Because I think that's what his ultimate alternative is. You think the United States government's going to allow themselves to be exposed for all kinds of things that we all know about, and I don't need to repeat, that Jeffrey Epstein has some role in? I mean, that's not going to happen. Let's be realistic. So what's the other alternative? You know, what is it? He's going to disappear mysteriously and the government's going to look like a bunch of assholes? No, it's already happened once already where he got off easy. So, you know, what's the only alternative? Well, let's go back in history and look at what some of the alternatives were for just kind of forgetting about people that everybody hates that just disappear. Like Sirhan Sirhan. You know, I'm sure he was a popular guy, right? Who gave a shit that he died? You know, what about Jeffrey Dahmer, who was released into the general population, known, you know, besides being a psychopath and a murderer, he was still like a pedophile of sorts, a horrible guy. He was a dead man in the general population. He gets released into the general population. What happens? Of course, he gets knifed. Think anybody misses him? No. They just like watching the movies of all the gore that he used to do. How about Jack Ruby? How about Lee Harvey Oswald? How about all of his accomplices? I mean, you know, people don't give a shit when others disappear if it's in the service of the powerful, rich, and famous. And I think that that's something that we just can't let happen. I don't know. I have no words of advice except not to fall for the hate that's encapsulated into the imago of Jeffrey Epstein. He should be tried in a, you know, fair, prudent, beyond a reasonable doubt manner. But I don't think that's going to happen. And I think that if he doesn't get off before he gets to jail, then there may be a CIA operative that's planted in the jail to off him, to make sure he keeps his mouth shut. You know, I don't want to say poor guy, because he's not a poor guy in any means, okay? But in a way, you know, I put himself in this situation, but he's been helped by some very rich, powerful people. And you know what? I'm fucking sick and tired of that. I'm sick and tired of the rich and the powerful and often politically connected and oftentimes Hollywood connected and any way, any type of power and wealth where they go together. It's just beginning to leave me at 66 years old very, very jaundiced. And I don't feel like ending with any music because I'm damn serious. So, thank you very much. And this has been the world of Macks Headroom.